I'm sorry?
The levy
No.
lid lift doesn't.
It doesn't.
You can lift.
We asked the voters to tax themselves over and above that, which they did.
Okay.
Now, and again, this would be a single issue one, but I don't know how better you ever really poll your constituents on, is that individual issue and service important enough to you to continue to fund it? I think that would be a pretty dang good barometer of it. And it may be that at some point when the other levies start to expire as well, that they may need to up theirs as well, or do something in the interim that may end up being where, you know, in the outcome of everybody looking at the system and how it's working or not working, that may be one of the funding questions of it. Just as we did 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when we said 25 cents isn't enough anymore, we need to be able to provide more revenue to it. Don't want to presuppose anything, but it is a large system. When you start taking into account, you know, the amount of money that Camas expends on behalf of everybody just for the EMS system, whatever the true dollars are, plus our additional monies that we put into EMS and the medical training and having those additional firefighters on the rigs, ECFR, same thing. We're talking many, many millions of dollars.
I understand. I'm just concerned that there's no check on the costs, but there's no incentive at all for frugality.
John, did you have a question?
No, I'm taking it all
Okay.
in because, I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And,
I didn't see if you raised your hand
no,
or there
I
was.
mean, I could just chime in by saying, it sounds like we need more discussion. We need to hear if this can be a one-time thing. I mean, I think everything, the rest of it all hinges on whether or not that's going to be acceptable. That this is a one-time payment. Because if it's not, then I'm not fully on board, so.
Well, we're not, the budget doesn't ask the council to make appropriations prospectively for 12 or 13 for the EMS. I think what we've been saying is, in all disclosure, will we solve this problem in 2011? If we don't, and we have continued decline AB, we're being pretty conservative in terms of hunkering down on our budgets, even looking into 12, that whether this supplementing out of our excess EMS revenues is an appropriate fix next time, there's a likelihood that it will be on the table. Whether we offer it or find it to be appropriate would be the question. I think it would be fully appropriate for the council to attach those strong caveats to this one-time appropriation. I think the message would be understood clearly. I think our partners in Camas have the same concerns administratively around this issue. But they have a real sense of duty around providing this service, and Lloyd and Paul to not drive it into the ground, and they're just trying to patch it up. I think like all of us are moving, you know, and looking short-term at the next year, but there is a long-term sense as well. I think we need to open the whole thing up. I can only speak from, you know, but if I was the provider of the service and saw this financial picture and financial context moving forward, to me it would be I would not be in a position to provide the service. And I'd have to say we need to get out of it or we need to adjust it. So I think that's going to be coming at us no matter what we do. And I think we welcome that, and we discuss it as partners, and we need to be open to all different kinds of solutions on the cost side and on the revenue side. And I think we can give a message to our partner around administering frugality, however that would look.
When are you getting with Lloyd and
I don't think we have anything scheduled.
Yep, we don't have anything specific on this, but certainly, you know, I owe him a phone call
Some of the things
quick.
that have been raised here, I mean, is it possible for you to go to them and just say, what if?
Mhm.
And just get their feedback? I mean, it would just be good to get, that dialogue, so we're not guessing.
I have
You
a
know,
question for you. I cannot vote on the West Columbia Court Humane Society piece of the budget. And Nettie gets some financial help. So you've advised me to ask for that to be put out as a separate item when we vote for the budget. Personally, I'd like to see this thing put out the same way. And the reason I ask that is that if you don't have a meeting before Monday with Paul and Lloyd, could we vote on this the last meeting of December and finish this piece of the budget up? I mean, how does that all come to play? Do we have to vote on the entire budget at one time?
No? Jennifer?
One ordinance, so I would say you would have to vote on it at one time.
Well, that's a good point. We'd turn around and do a supplemental budget for 2011 before 2011 got here,
Yeah.
otherwise.
But isn't it, in theory, is it not the same as my issue with the, I mean, we're gonna set, you may vote on it that night, but can it be set up to the side?
I don't even, from where I sit, Rod, I don't even see a problem with you voting on the budget. We don't vote on the budget department by department and item by item. So I don't see any reason you would need to recuse yourself from voting on the budget, because I don't believe we're gonna have a vote on the Humane Society. We're gonna have a vote that the Humane Society is a small piece of $32 million of budget that we're going to pass.
Yeah, because what that'll probably end up being is we'll open up the budget, and then if someone wanted to change or add money to, say, Humane Society, they would offer up an amendment to do so, correct?
It's,
That's-
yes, if a counselor wants
and
to.
that's where you vote, not vote.
That's where you probably, I think it would be wise to, even for that discussion. Yeah, just for
I
that.
don't believe in, even the Attorney General has said that it's permissible for volunteer firefighters to be members of the council and for all of those reasons, and it didn't say that and say, but you can't vote on budgets that have to do with the fire department or any of that type of thing, so I don't see a problem with it at all.
And I think that came back primary because I'm one of seven, and would that be the?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I know they made the preclusion on reserve officers only because of separation of powers by the Constitution. You can't make the laws and enforce them both. And as firefighters, you don't necessarily do that. But no, I think your insights and your questions in regards to these kind of things are invaluable to the entire group. Certainly myself.
I think what I would see in terms of your question about this particular item and this $150,000 appropriation, if there was a motion and a second to extract it from the budget and to not make that that's how I would see this moving. Probably what would happen is after closing the hearing, because that was reopened, closing the hearing next week, somebody would probably make a motion to approve the budget as it was submitted. There'd be a second. Now it's on the table. There may be none, or there could be all kinds of discussion, and there could be any number of series of amendments proposed. Each would be voted on individually. One of them could be this $150,000. I'm confident that we'll be able to talk to Lloyd. I could talk to him tonight, probably, or tomorrow. I'm not aware of Mayor Dennis's schedule. I think we will have information for you by next week about their reaction to the caveats that have been expressed here.
In an email, is that doable? Tomorrow, and then an